Hello everybody, Sean here, and we are taking a look at Ultima Hard Mode, one of the new fights added with patch 2.1, and it's a bit of a doozy, but if you've gotten to this part of Ultima before, and by that I mean you fought him once before in the story, and now you're fighting him again, the first 50% shouldn't be that hard. The DPS and the healers, all they need to really do during this section, and well, of course the tanks, they just need to make sure they're paying attention to the AoE. So, like his story-based version, he's going to have the three primals inside him, Garuda, Ifrit, and Titan. And he's going to use their abilities to try to hit you. So you already saw Garuda, she fires a cone, a very wide cone, mind you, but a cone in front of her. So wherever you see her be summoned, just make sure you're behind her. You're not going to get hit. Her other attack right here is where she summons the tornado. Once the tornado comes up, make sure you run through it to the outside of the arena so Titan does not crush you when he lands in the center. And the same as the story-based version, or at a certain percentage, you will see Garuda fall out of him. In between that, just make sure you're doing your general DPSing. There is a DPS check on this fight. If you take too long, you will get wiped. You can see here goes Garuda again, firing her cone. Just make sure you're behind her, it won't be an issue. Titan does use Vulcan Burst just before it goes off. It's just a knockback. It's kind of to try to knock you into her attack, but it's super easy to avoid, so it shouldn't be a problem. One thing to keep in mind during this stage, there you can see Garuda floating out. That means she has left him, so now he's going to use Titan and Ifrit. And basically, it's, again, the same as the story. He's going to use, there's Radiant Plumes, and then I forget what that one's called, but it's Titan's equivalent of Radiant Plumes. So all you either dodge in and then out, or out and then in. It's going to be one of the two. Very simple. The only thing that is important during this phase, and this is going to be for the whole fight, the DPS and the healers, they just need to dodge AoEs, not a big deal. The tanks, however, do have a little bit more on their plate. As you can see right now, Miko Powers, our one tank in the top left corner, has a single buff on him. The very first one, that's actually a debuff being applied by Ultima. And it's going to slowly stack up, and it's going to stack and stack and stack. So, the problem is, if it gets too high, 4 or 5, so on and so forth, you're going to have a very dead tank on your hands. So every 3 to 4 stacks, we suggest 3, although some risk takers do like to leave it to 4 stacks. But every 3 stacks, just make sure your tanks swap hate, and then the stacks will slowly dissipate off of the other tank, and then you can rotate back and forth. That's going to have to happen the whole fight. It's not a super huge deal, but make sure you are keeping an eye on it. Maybe have a macro ready that just says, other off tank, please provoke, so something to that effect, just to be very clear. So you can see right now, Miko is at 3 stacks, so any moment now, our other tank, Prince, should be taking hate, and it looks like he has already done so, so perfect. As you go through, you will, of course, be knocking more and more of the primals out, so once Titan leaves, then it'll just be Ifrit, and you'll see one of 2 attacks come from Ifrit. This one, where he uses Radiant Plume and his dash attack, very simple to dodge. Just make sure you look around the arena where Ifrit is standing so you're not in line with him. Or he's going to use Eruption, where he targets 2 people, and there's eruptions wherever they're standing. The eruptions are pretty big, but they're a very slow AoE. So whoever gets targeted, the only right there, perfect. The only thing you need to do is just kind of run in like a gentle circle around the map, and you probably won't get hit at all. Just make sure you don't bring it to the tank. That is a very bad thing to do. If, worst case scenario, if you have to kill yourself to not hit the tank, then that's going to have to be what happens. But what you should do is what you just saw that bard do, is just kind of run across the back of the arena. There's a 3 to 4 eruptions, and once they're gone, that's it. So just make sure you're running in a straight line or a soft circle so that you could constantly be moving and dodging the eruptions as they go off. And again, they go off pretty slowly, so you can kind of rotate back on yourself without much chance of getting hit. So once you kill Ifrit out of him, that's around the 45-40% mark, he's going to use Etheric Boon. Knocks everyone back and then summons these orbs. And this is why I've been marked. Boon, the square above my head is what I'm getting at. Boon is an AoE. You can see as soon as you touch it, it causes a massive explosion. The AoE damage is based on the amount of people in the AoE. So the more people, the less damage. That's why I was marked. Everyone knows to follow my lead so that we all walk towards the same boon. If you don't, if a single person hits a boon, gonna kill them, pretty well guaranteed. If 2 people hit it, it's gonna be risky, you might survive. Again, that is why you pick someone to mark, And that way, everyone in the group will follow them, lowering the overall damage of the boons. It is important that you kill them quickly, because if the boons touch, the tethered boons touch, they will detonate, causing it basically an instant wipe. After the first Aetheric boon, he's going to summon these magic bits about 30 seconds to a minute later. Kill as many as you can, but it's likely impossible that you're going to kill all 6 of them before the next phase of this attack, which is going to be 2 airships being summoned. So you can see we got 3 bits, and then you come to the back of the arena where the waves of the AoE overlap the least, and just dodge that AoE. There's other spots you can hide, of course. You don't have to go to where we were, but that is one of the best spots during that attack. After the airships drop, you can go back to DPSing the magic bits, or you can go straight to Ultima. The magic bits are pretty weak, so you could, for instance, you can see that I went straight to Ultima. I didn't really concentrate on the bits. The reason for this is I wanted to get the DPS going back on Ultima. There is a DPS check during this fight. If you're going too slowly at the end of the fight, instead of using his final attack, he'll skip right to Ultima, the magic spell Ultima, and wipe the raid. That's how you know if you're DPSing too slowly, if you see the spell Ultima cast. If you're DPSing at a proper pace, or, quickly, then he will use Aetheric Boon a 3rd time. That is how you know you're actually in the final section of the fight. So after the first phase of magic bits, there will be about another 30 to 45 seconds where you can DPS, and he's going to use Boon again. This time there's going to be more orbs, and we suggest you go for the ones that are going from the north to the south first, because they're on a shorter tether. Again, just follow whoever's in the lead, detonate the orbs, make sure your healers are casting AoE heals as soon as the orbs hit them, because you do have to do that pretty quickly. You can see we waited just a brief second for one of the heals to hit, then we went and detonated more orbs. After the second boon has gone off, you go back DPS Ultima, but again, about 10 to 15 seconds later, he will summon the next round of magic bits. This time they're around the outside of the arena. You're probably only going to be able to kill 1 or 2 because they're so separated you can't really employ AoEs this time. And after about 10 seconds or so of the magic bits being there, he will summon the airships to come crashing down. Now there's a lot of luck involved here. Because there's so much happening, it's really hard to see. Basically, what's going to happen is everyone has to stack in the middle of the arena, as you saw, but because the magic bits are also shooting at you, there's a good chance you're going to be taking hits from the magic bits, as well as taking damage from all the airships. So all that can really happen there is if you have any heals of your own, make sure to use them the moment you take damage. The white mages need to make sure they have the heals, AoE heals, casting the moment that damage comes in. As soon as you get through that, if you're alive, hopefully you are. If you're in good gear, item level 80 and 90 gear, you don't have much to worry about. But this fight is available for item level 60 people, so they might have a tougher time here. But you can see our group did fairly well because we are a little better geared than the fight recommends. After that second series of magic bits and airship crashes, you can go back, kill the magic bits off, or switch over to Ultima and have maybe 1 or 2 of the ranged DPS kill the bits off. Whatever happens, make sure you get on Ultima quickly because, again, there is a DPS check here. You don't want to DPS too slowly and lose the fight. This will be the make it or break it moment. If you were DPSing too slowly, he will use Ultima instead of Aetheric Boon. If he uses Ultima, that means you're going to wipe. If he uses Boon, what has to happen now is you have to use the Tank's Limit Break 3. It's going to give you a massive defense buff for about 5 seconds. It's very brief, but it'll be enough that you can just run through the boons like you saw us do there, and you'll take almost no damage. You saw we took some damage when we detonated the last one, because I do believe the limit break had already worn off. If you get through a third Aetheric Boon, you've pretty well won the fight. There's nothing else from this point on that's going to be life-threatening. If you did not see Aetheric Boon and he instead used Ultima, that again means you were DPSing too slowly. Maybe people died, maybe your DPS just weren't up to snuff that time. Whatever it was, that just means you're DPSing too slowly, so you'll have to try again and hopefully get more damage done in a quicker fashion. Really, it's all going to come down to that third Aetheric Boon. As soon as you see it casting, once it's at about 50%, you have to get that limit break ready and activated. The tank limit break does have a long charge time, so as soon as the Aetheric Boon's going, get the limit break going, and then run through those orbs and win the fight. For beating it, you will get a single accessory drop, which everyone can, of course, lot upon, or whatever you want to call it. But that is Ultima Hard Mode. I thank you for watching, and we'll see everyone next time.